Hi PCOL. We've accomplished a lot through the capital campaign dollars that you've given. And I just want to take a few moments and walk you through and show you some of the progress that we've made and some of the choices that we need to make. But first I'd like to thank Sophia for manning the camera and making this film for us. Let's go for a walk. Oh, and before we get started, I just want to take a minute to thank everybody for all the donations they've made towards the capital campaign and for all the hard work that everybody's done during these tough times during the pandemic. Let's get started. We repaired and painted the cupola. We've put new AC in the kitchen, and that'll make the fridge freezer last a lot longer. And it'll make it more comfortable for us here too. And through some separate funding, a special gift, we're planning on a new stove. Speaking of air conditioning, we put air conditioning in the lounge and all of the classrooms. Insurance required us to repair the manse porch. Now the Vamos-Thomas family social distance with their neighbors out there. So if you remember, the carpet in the narthex was in really tough shape. So we ripped it out and we discovered a jewel underneath. And soon we'll be replacing these windows with new energy efficient windows that actually close. So some of you have asked that we paint the meeting house ceiling, but as you can see it's in pretty rough shape. And we didn't want to paint over a problem, so we've hired a structural firm to come in and do an analysis. That should be taking place in about a month or so. As you can see, we've already done a lot, and this is what these projects will cost. But that's just a small fraction of what we want to do and what will be done. So as you know, our plan is to build the Furon Atrium right here to expand our community well programs. So if the funding allows, one of our plans is to expand the lobby with an elevator that would service all of the floors, a nice cafe that would be out into where is now the parking lot, and new bathrooms. A lot of the cost for doing capital projects is in the planning, so you really need to do it right the first time, as efficiently as possible. And behind the scenes, our committee and the session have been spending a lot of time and energy doing some very careful planning, so we don't end up like this. First, let me tell you about some of the things we didn't anticipate as we started planning. You know the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll probably want some milk. And if you give him some milk, he'll probably want, well, you get the picture. That's often what happens when you do a construction project. We learned that by building the new atrium, building codes require us to upgrade our sprinkler system in other parts of the facility. And of course, a new sprinkler system requires us to upgrade our water service, which means trenching a brand new line. And if we're going through the expense of opening up a trench and digging under the street, we might as well put in a gas line too and convert our heating to gas. That's an efficient use of funds for sure. And according to code, the additional square footage of the atrium will require us to increase our bathroom capacity. And additional bathrooms means additional square footage. And what better place to put new bathrooms than a new expanded lobby? And if we have an expanded lobby, let's open it up to the kitchen. Let's make it a cafe-style environment where people will be invited to hang out. And yes, we could put those bathrooms in the atrium, but they would take up a significant portion, perhaps 25% of the new atrium. Although we did a careful cost study and found our original cost estimates were pretty accurate, These were some additional costs that we didn't anticipate. These added costs mean we've had to think about making some difficult choices. First, the good news. Although we fell short of our $3 million goal, our congregation raised more than we've ever raised in a capital campaign. Thank you. And this amount, $780,000, has been spent or is committed. That means that we have just over $1.5 million to spend to fulfill the rest of our capital plans. And so here's the challenging news. That's not quite enough for what we want to do. We've created two scenarios, a plan A that would accomplish some of our plans, and a plan B that would accomplish most of our plans as we envisioned in the original capital campaign case. And unfortunately, we don't have quite enough resources for either of the scenarios, and we need to figure out what we want to do about that. Let me explain a bit further. Part of our challenge in making decisions about what should get done has to do with the fact that we can't build 80% of the atrium. We have to build 100% of it. So that meant making compromises in some of our other projects. Plan A would include all of these items. Note, we would have to build the extra bathrooms in the atrium, and we would not be able to do the south lobby expansion to build a new cafe. We would only be able to install a lift between the ground floor and the upper floor, no basement service, not the full elevator. Plan B would enable us to do all in Plan A, plus what you see here. To complete the south lobby expansion, install the full elevator, and to do extra work in the youth room and north bathrooms. Additionally, the new bathrooms would move out of the atrium, freeing up valuable atrium space, and those bathrooms would be now in the lobby. Whatever we do, we know it will be a great gift to future generations. But we also want to be sure we're checking in with you about these decisions. So our plans are progressing, and as they come together, we're really going to need your input, probably later this winter, on how we're going to proceed. So this is where we are. As you can see, we have choices to make, but you provided all the resources for these choices to happen. Okay, God provided the resources, but it was through your giving. This congregation has a long history of making tough decisions and stepping up to the plate. And I have very little doubt that we will make the right decisions in these months to come. God bless.